Hello and welcome to the Bad Reading Podcast. My name is Atlas Novak.
I'm Nick Kane.
And today with us we have the host of the Dr. Cheesecake podcast. Please welcome Danielle Soto.
Hello. Sorry.
Danielle, you have a very bedazzled shirt.
I do. There's a story.
Really?
So I work at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Really?
And they had this huge blowout sale for employees.
Mm-hmm.
So like everything was like 90% off. And I don't own anything bedazzled. And I also can't turn down a discount.
Right.
That level, I mean, come on. So yes, I bought this top the other day along with, it was like $79 worth of useless shit that I got for like $20.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's a great deal.
I mean, I still spent $20 on, shit I'm not going to use.
I mean, you're wearing the shirt right now, which if you're
valid.
If you're listening to the episode via YouTube, this is just, you got to look at this, man. It's
Ta-da.
great.
Should I shake so it
it's like the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh!
blinding Nick?
Okay. All right.
Shining star.
Yeah.
All right. So on this podcast, terrible fan fiction, good times, like the tagline says. We are going to read Danielle some bad fan fiction, and she is encouraged to interrupt with any jokes or nitpicks that she sees fit. But first, Danielle, what are you into?
What fan fiction did you pick for me? And like that?
No, I mean, like, what's a TV show? Like, you know what the episode's going to be. This is for the listener part.
So I'm like spoiling the end of this podcast, basically. Right
We're
now.
not spoil. We know what it's about. Just like, what's the TV show?
Can you ask me again?
Okay. Danielle. I never had to explain it before.
I'll get it right this time.
No, it's because you went out of order.
I went out of order.
No, I don't know. It was so weird how you brought it up.
Okay.
No, I'll do
Okay,
it better.
Danielle, what are you into?
The Golden Girls.
There it is. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you
But-
for being a friend.
Traveled down the road and back again. The Golden Girls.
Did you learn that from me, or did you already know it?
I've watched a few episodes
Because of me, or just because?
because of you. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, you did it.
Thanks.
And
Doing the Lord's work.
well, also your podcast, Dr. Cheesecake, is about the Golden Girls.
Yes. So my guests
yeah.
come on with a problem in their life, and then I solve it using an episode of The Golden Girls.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I guess it's my philosophy that there's an episode for every single life problem.
Can you give me an example of?
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the other day I had on Ryan Kohler, who does improv in LA, and his problem was that he comes on very strong. And there's an episode from season 7 called The Commitments. And in that episode, Blanche meets this guy and they start to date, and he's not that into her. And so instead of just being like, well, that's it, she pushes and pushes and pushes herself onto him, and it ends up being very hilarious.
Oh.
But there's an example. I've also had on, if you're a fan of Drag Race, I've had on Alaska Thunderfuck. Can I swear on this?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
I had on Alaska Thunderfuck, and her problem was that she was very competitive. We watched an episode from season 1 called The Competition. It's an episode where they do a bowling competition. And it's funny because she won Drag Race All-Stars.
Yeah.
So, like, is it a problem that
The best of the best, yeah.
you are competitive and
Yeah.
you won a very great prize in a competition? So I didn't want to take away all of, her enthusiasm for her competitive nature, but we had a great time recording and it was really exciting.
It's good.
That's
I like
great.
how they name episodes kind of like how Seinfeld does it, where it's just the thing.
Yeah, they do sometimes. They also play off of like movies, like a lot of shows do that too. So there's like an episode called One Flew Out of the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh,
and,
there you go.
Stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've only watched a few episodes. Nick, have you seen a lot of the Golden Girls?
I've seen a few episodes too. That's another show that I really have to get caught up on though, because like I watched the first few and I really liked it. It was pretty funny, and that's all I really have to say. But I like Betty White. I love all that crazy all those crazy characters.
She's a national treasure. And if you want me to recommend any particular episodes,
Yeah, go for
or well, it depends what you're into, or what if you have a problem you need solved. Maybe I should have you just on my podcast someday.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like listen to the Dr. Cheesecake podcast. Where does the name come from?
Great question. So doctor, because I play a therapist, and then cheesecake because they always solve their problems over a cheesecake or some kind of dessert. But in the Golden Girls community, which sounds really stupid, but there is a Golden Girls community.
Member of several communities that are like too small to be called communities, but you call it a community anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
No, dude, Golden Girls is
everyone
huge.
knows about cheesecake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's like a cruise. There's a Golden Girls cruise. There's Golden Girls hot sauce. I have the Chia Pet, board games, dolls. It's T-shirts, on and on.
Chia Pet of like what, like B. Arthur's head, and then the Chia is the hair.
Yeah, mine is a Stell Getty. I have the Sophia one.
Nice.
But yeah, I have a Golden Girls bookshelf. It's like a shrine.
There's a Golden Girls for everything.
Yeah, there is. There's even underwear.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't own any, but...
Are they called bloomers?
Granny panties.
Okay.
Wow, bummer. Okay. Well...
Wow, that was a bummer.
I mean, just like calling it granny panties and like that's what you're active... Because like granny panties are like the ones that you can... Like they're the worst kind, right? Like the one you can damage.
Right. They're
like,
unattractive.
yeah.
Yeah. But these just have like the faces of the Golden Girls on them. I don't want those. Honestly, like I was telling Atlas, and when he invited me to do this podcast initially, I'm going to be honest, I did say no. Not because I don't love you guys and I think it's a great creative idea, but because I'm sensitive. And when people talk negatively about the Golden Girls, I have a reaction.
That's exactly why we want you here.
I know, and then you explained that, and I was like, okay, I guess so. But like, sometimes people always send me Golden Girls stuff. They're like, I saw this candle, or I saw this coloring book, whatever, on Facebook. And sometimes people send me. There's this one T-shirt, and they're all depicted as Day of the Dead, it's a beautiful design.
Mm-hmm.
I would never wear something like that because I don't want to think about them as dead. I want to think of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy.
All but Betty White are dead.
Right. But I don't want them to be.
Dead.
So,
but they're alive in our hearts.
They're alive in my heart.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to wear something like that. Yeah. And there's like this one depiction of them like Star Wars style, I guess, where it's like
cool.
Betty White is alive and the other three are ghosts in the woods in the background. And I'm like, it's pretty, but like, no, not for me. So it's like, you know, what do you call it when it's a religious thing? You don't talk bad about God or Jesus.
Sacrilegious?
Sacrilegious. Yeah. It's sacrilegious.
It's kind of like, Nick, have you ever seen that T-shirt where it's stormtroopers trying to shoot accurately, which they can't because Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's Mr. Meeseeks, and they're like holding up a target and yelling at them.
Yeah.
That's like something that I guess you could consider sacrilegious depending which fandom you're from or if you don't like.
I guess,
one.
Yeah, I guess. It's like
the crossover episodes are always the weirdest ones, or just like stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, we did a crossover story on our podcast like that once, but it was like
4 episodes ago.
4 episodes ago,
the Mario episode.
Yeah, but like no, it's perfect. You know, like I can totally see those little blue bastards trying to help them shoot better, but they're like, oh come on, what's the stormtrooper guy's name?
They don't have names.
They don't have names.
They're just stormtroopers.
Okay, Jeff. Jeff's like, come on, Jeff, you gotta hit the target, and then he's like, death to the Jedi. So I don't.
Okay.
Is that Jeff with a J or Jeff with a G?
Oh, like Geoff or however you spell it?
Geoff, yeah.
Two stormtroopers, they're both named Jeff, but like one of them's with a J and one of them's with a G. They're really sensitive if you screw it up.
I had 2 friends in college named Alvin, both named Alvin. So we started calling one of them root beer because his last name was Wu, so A&W, root beer.
There you go.
But it's just like the kind of thing where you have the 2 people in the office with the same name, so you come up with a stupid nickname for one of them.
That's fucking clever.
Yeah.
I work with another Danielle, and she's a good friend of mine, but she's way more popular at Universal than she's like the mayor of Universal. Everybody knows her. And so whenever people are like, blah, 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 Danielle, I'm always like, me? And they're like, no, Danielle Williams. So I created a nickname for myself. It is Danielle, not Danielle Williams Soto, because everyone wants it to be her.
Oh, that's fine.
And I love her, so
I will literally never have that problem.
Yeah.
Except for maybe if someone goes blah 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 Atlas like me, no, the book of maps.
Yeah,
on the
maybe
wall.
with a book.
Yeah.
No, dude, you have that problem all the time with video game boss names. Like,
Oh,
you're
'cause
like,
of
oh,
Bioshock?
that
Yeah.
Atlas? Yeah.
No. All right, so the story we have today is called Only You, and it is by Moon Chan. It's from fanfiction.net. We'll put the link to it in the show notes because if you want to read it for yourself, / we don't want to get sued, and to give the artist credit. So this is called Only You.
What's the name of the author?
Moon Chan, MOUN-CHAN.
Thank you, Moon.
So the little tagline at the beginning is, Dorothy never wanted to dress up as a man, no matter what her mother suggested. But when Blanche's date for the museum banquet cancels at the last minute, she finds herself in the unexpected situation of pretending to be her best friend's
Can I
date.
jump in here?
Yes.
There is an episode where she dresses up like a man. It's the guest star is Bob Hope, and the episode is titled "You Gotta Have Hope."
Oh.
And in the episode, Betty White, Rue McClanahan, and B. Arthur's characters dress up in drag to get into a men's locker room.
That's kind of awesome. Is it Bob Hope as himself? Or?
Yes, it's
Okay,
Bob Hope
yeah.
as himself. Yeah. He's the big reveal at the end of the episode.
Gotcha.
Spoilers.
Man, Danielle's prepared. All
Spoilers
right.
for a 30-something-year-old sitcom.
Right. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet,
Yeah.
Just text me. Well, you can come over and watch it.
Okay.
Put her phone number in the show notes.
Yeah, please. Please actually don't.
I'm not gonna. Don't worry.
Can you put my Google location at this very second, too?
All right. Her best friend for whom she feels much more. All right. Here we go. Apologies if I mispronounce any of the names because Dorothy Zbornak,
Yes.
okay, was sitting on the lanai reading a book and enjoying some of the late August sun that was shining generously on Miami
That sounds valid.
when her roommate Blanche Devereaux stormed onto the terrace. The Southern Belle was all dressed up, wearing her most expensive and beautiful dress, but she was so upset that it seemed like she would ruin her makeup any second. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Oh my God, you're doing an accent.
What else am I supposed
No,
to do?
I like it.
Okay, he's better at it.
And yet, here you are.
I mean, when we switch off, so it's not like
okay.
yeah. Okay.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay. Dorothy kept a finger between the pages as she closed the book inside. Another overreaction. What's wrong, Blanche? Reynold just called and he canceled our date. The banquet's tonight. Oh, what am I to do? She let herself fall into the lounger next to Dorothy. Come on, Blanche. You can't tell me that there aren't hundreds of men in your notebook just dying to go out with you tonight.
Notebook?
Notebook.
Little black book?
Yeah.
No?
I guess not.
Notebook sounds very, like, school.
Yeah, or
Right.
just like I'm thinking of the Burn book from Mean Girls.
Right.
Please tell me you've seen that.
Yes.
Okay, good.
No, I agree with Danielle. It's just a notebook. Like, it's...
I guess. I mean, what do you write your jokes in?
I write them in my impression book.
No, but this is... Okay, wow. But this is, like, where you keep your date's phone numbers.
Yeah.
So it's like a little
Little
black
black book,
book.
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, like, by the time I started dating, cell phones with the contacts in them were a thing.
I know, right?
So,
Nobody has their,
yeah.
like, brrr, Rolodex.
Yeah.
Did you like that sound effect?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It was very good.
I can't roll
That's
my
for you.
tongue like
It's very,
that.
do you want to be on this podcast forever? You're hired.
I'll just do the sound effects.
Michael Winslow, watch out.
I can't just go with anyone. I can't just go with anyone, Dorothy. The banquet's only once a year. It's a special occasion. I need a date with class and elegance. The Belle looked at Dorothy from head to toes, and an idea seemed to form in her head. You don't happen to have a black suit? The substitute teacher shot an incredulous glance at her friend.
Wait, can I do the look? It'd be something
yeah.
like this. Okay, go ahead.
If the people are listening on audio, you're missing out on part of the medium that's just like, mwah. All right.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah. Shot an incredulous glance at her friend. What do you mean, do I have a suit? You're not actually thinking that. Oh, Dorothy, come on, Blanche pleaded. You know this banquet means the world to me, and I cannot possibly show up there all by myself. And you don't have a date for tonight anyway, am I right? There, so come with me and have some fun for a change. Fun? You think that pretending to be a man would be fun for me? Is it fun for them?
Here's what I feel like. One of the comments that I always get from my guests on Dr. Cheesecake when we come back from watching the episode is I always say, what did you think of the episode? And typically what my guests always say is it's so funny. There is a joke. The writing, there's a joke every 10 seconds, basically. So and there's not a joke every 10 seconds here. Like, I don't think there's been any jokes. It's like, how can you write Golden Girls fan fiction without any jokes? And like, I feel like I don't want to be critical because I haven't written any.
What do you mean you don't want to be? This is literally the point. is to be critical.
I don't want to, Moon spent time on this. Yeah. I don't know if Moon's going to be listening to this. And like the fact that you even took the time to show your appreciation for Golden Girls by writing more episodes, I think is very sweet.
I mean, there's a part of the description that I left out just for the sake of what's to come. So I think you'll know why they're not putting any jokes here.
Oh, is this... Okay, keep going.
To be continued. But like the Seinfeld episode we didn't have a lot of jokes either.
Did you do the 9/11 episode?
No, we didn't do the 9/11.
Have you read it?
Yes, and that's good reading.
It's really
which
good.
is not the title of this podcast.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, the 9/11 episode is like amazing.
Yeah.
I think it got that guy a job, didn't it? Like he got hired on like Curb or something. Not Curb, some other.
It absolutely should have, because it was one of the best spec scripts ever. Yeah,
like the thing with George at the fireman's banquet, and he like steals food. Just it's great.
Yeah, and Kramer inhaling toxins.
Yeah.
And,
let's see, where was I? Okay. Please, Dorothy, I'm begging you, be my date for tonight. I'm sure it's going to work out great, Blanche said and took her hand. Oh, yeah, Dorothy said in her deepest voice. Too bad I shaved my mustache this morning. But Blanche's puppy eyes were already melting down her defenses. If she was honest with herself, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be the Southern Belle's date. As a woman, she knew she'd never make it any other way. These hopes had been crushed when she'd witnessed how Blanche reacted to her brother's coming out.
I was literally about to say, Blanche is a little homophobic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I wouldn't assume that Blanche would be so apt to go on a date with a woman regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's an episode where Dorothy has a friend who's a lesbian, and there's this incredible line where Blanche is like, so? And they're like, you're not surprised? And she's like, well, I've never met one personally, but isn't Danny Thomas one? And they're like, not Lebanese, Blanche, lesbian. And she goes, lesbian. And it's like the funniest scene. That won the director Terry Hughes an Emmy for that episode. P.S.
Wow, fun.
And he's been a guest on Dr. Cheesecake. P.S.
Nice.
Wow. And then her brother Clayton comes out, and she's not okay with it, and she has to meet his future husband. And so, yeah, Blanche has a history of not being like 100% with LGBT.
And this was like what, like late 80s, early 90s. So this is happening. So this is, when did the whole Matthew Shepard thing happen? In the 90s.
That, like the Laramie Project.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably early 90s.
So it's around that. So that was like progressive for the time.
I mean, a lot of the episodes of the Golden Girls was progressive for the time. There was an episode about HIV, with a very poignant scene between Betty White's character and Rue McClanahan's character. Betty White is waiting for her test results. She thinks that due to a blood transfusion, she could have contracted HIV.
Yeah.
And Blanche is like yelling at her like, AIDS is not a bad person's disease. It's not God punishing people for their sins. And at this time, nobody knew that much about it in the public. So it was very stigmatized. It was very scary. And they were just kind of like, you can't catch it this way. And it's like, yeah, that is what television should be for. It should be for being a vessel in which people can learn about the things going on around them without feeling lectured towards. That's why I personally studied sociology in school. It was because I love when television shows educate people through comedy.
Yeah.
I think that about the things that are going on in the world. not everybody wants to watch the news. It's very depressing.
It is.
But if you can learn about like drunk driving or like teen smoking or like the death of a loved one, through a sitcom, I'm like, yo, you're doing the Lord's work.
Without it sounding like one of those like videos they show you during driver's ed.
Yeah, 100%. I love the very special episodes of things.
Or just
Really?
like those
Always
painful episodes where it's like all the actors like after the show's over, they're like, "Hi, I play Blanche, and you know something? We like to joke around a lot, but we don't like to joke about AIDS." It's like they didn't do that.
So Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
that is so Saved by the Bell, where they'd come out and be like, "If you're interested in learning more about teen suicide, go to this website, not website."
On a very special episode of Bad Reading.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to bring it down.
It's okay. No.
Your Emmy consideration.
No, I think it's good for like context for especially stuff like this, because the whole point is to rip into these stories, but also to see where the writer's coming from and what was going on in the show proper, because Nick and I don't have time to read, listen, watch everything that we bring guests on for.
Yeah.
I try and do a little bit of research, but like there will be things where I know literally nothing. Watch the WWE episode for that. All right. She had known then that she never could open up to her best friend about her feelings that went way beyond friendship, and ever since that day, she tried to forget about them. Now she was here in front of her, holding her hand and imploring her to be her date for tonight. All right, she finally said. "I give up. Take me out." Blanche squealed with joy. Hurry up. We gotta get you ready. And holding on tight to her friend's hand, she dragged her into her bedroom and shut the door behind them. "Okay, Dorothy, now the banquet starts in 2 hours. We don't have a lot of time. Get your suit and put it on. Come on. Meanwhile, I'll make up a very nice background story for you." Blanche sat down on the bed and turned her back to Dorothy so that she could change. "Let's see," she started, while Dorothy, still a little disbelieving, opened her closet. "You're a teacher, that's for sure. You lecture English literature and culture at Miami State University, and you're very cultured and speak Chinese, too. Oh, Blanche, come on. Isn't French good enough? I actually speak that,
I don't know if she does. No, she doesn't.
Yeah, like
that kind of came out of left field.
They just kind of like crammed it in. Throw cannon to the wind, I always say.
Poetic license, I always say.
Why would the author want her to speak French? Like, is that...
Does that come back later?
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Wait and see.
Yeah. I don't understand why you would pretend to be a college professor, which is very easily like checkable.
Well, it's funny because there's an episode where Rose's boyfriend Miles, who appears in many, many episodes, he's like recurring, reveals that he's not actually a college professor. Mm-hmm. He is in the witness protection program, and he is hiding from a mobster named the Cheese Man. It's
Dr. Cheeseman.
It is. So to fake being a college professor, I'd wonder if that's like a nod to this Miles storyline.
Probably, yeah.
Dang,
witness protection. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. It's a... Here's the problem with that episode, besides nothing, is that it's a... My favorite episode is when Miles comes back, right? So he has to go into hiding because the Cheese Man's not actually dead, and it's like a whole thing.
Oh, I thought him being the professor was the witness protection.
It was,
oh, okay.
Yes. But then it turns out that this guy isn't actually dead, and he's like, oh my gosh, now I'm in danger. Like, I came out about my secret. I'm not explaining this well. But anyways, it's a 2-part episode.
Okay.
The second episode of the 2-part is the best episode in the entire series. Best episode.
And it's called?
I believe it's called The Witness. It's from season 6. And in this episode, Blanche is doing her family tree to get into the sisterhood of the Confederacy. And she needs to prove that she's 100% Southern. And Dorothy's going over her paperwork. And
the Sisterhood of the Traveling Slave Owners.
Yes. Something to that effect. And something nobody would want to be a part of. And Dorothy's going through her family lineage, and she goes, oh, Blanche, it looks like your great-grandmother was born slightly outside of Atlanta. And she goes, how far outside of Atlanta? She goes, Buffalo. You're a Yankee, Blanche. And Blanche has a meltdown. And then it also is revealed that she's a Feldman. So she goes, no, I can't be Jewish. It's this whole episode about how Blanche finds out she's Jewish. And meanwhile, Rose is dealing with her boyfriend coming back from the witness protection, and they relocated him. It is the funniest episode in the entire series. And it's hard to show people because there's all this
context.
Yes, exactly. All this context you have to include. I'm hosting a Golden Girls Shabbat dinner in January. And so I want to show this episode, but I have to tell my guests, like, before you come over, watch this other one.
This should be out by then, depending when in January it is.
Oh, it's not like open to the public, but
No, I mean just like for your guests to listen to this episode.
Oh, there you go.
That was more for that and not attention listeners. Go to
as long as my phone number's already being published, might as well. But yeah, so why did I start talking about that episode? Oh, because of Miles and the professor. Okay, so Dorothy's going to be this college professor.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, well, whatever. In your free time, you end up writing symposiums, worked at the theater, and all that cultured stuff. We met at the library. Dorothy had finished changing and asked, will this do? As Blanche turned around, she saw her friend in an elegant black suit that flowed around her tall body and gave an air of authority and masculinity. Oh, definitely, she exclaimed. Now come on over and sit down. I got to do your hair. Dorothy did as she was told, sat on the dresser, and while Blanche started combing her hair, she took off her earrings and started taking off the little makeup she had been wearing, too. After about an hour of getting ready, Blanche contemplated her date with satisfaction. What do you think, Dorothy? Are you going to pass for a gentleman or what? Dorothy couldn't help but agree that she had looked at her, as she looked at herself in the full-length mirror. She would pass as a man. She had practically transformed into one, all the exterior signs of femininity removed, her tall and slender body clad in masculine attire from head to toes, her face covered in simple makeup imitating a 5 o'clock shadow.
Oh my God. Where are Sophia and Rose during all this?
I don't know. They don't mention that maybe they're like doing stuff.
Eating cheesecake.
Of course they're doing stuff. They're people.
You know what?
Valid.
Actively correct.
Maybe they're making bacon, lettuce, and potato sandwiches, which is something that happened in an episode of The Golden Girls.
BLP?
Yeah, they ran out of tomato.
Nice.
So they're like, we'll just say it fast. Bacon, lettuce, and potato. Bacon, lettuce, and potato.
I mean, I don't like tomatoes. I'd be down for bacon, lettuce, and potato.
I'd probably... Not in a sandwich? A potato in a sandwich?
If you do it right, sure. Like,
well, if you do anything right.
I mean, like, have you ever been to Fat Sal's?
Yeah.
They put French fries in their sandwiches.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
You can easily do potatoes.
I know nobody's going to order this when they go to Fat Sal's, but they do have a really good Reuben.
I think I've had that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty
it's
good.
Really good.
My favorite of theirs is the Fat Jerry.
That's the one with the chicken fingers in it.
Yeah, no eggs, no ketchup.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Even in her even in her flat black leather shoes, as she was taller than Blanche in her high heels, and her voice did the rest. Blanche entered. Oh, okay, sorry. This is it's like a scene break. So,
okay.
Nick, your turn.
Okay.
Time for Nick.
So
time for me.
About a quarter of the way down.
So Blanche
entered. Yeah.
Okay. Blanche entered the banquet happily, clinging onto Dorothy's left arm, like she would with a real date. A lot of the guests kept looking at them as they walked by, and Dorothy blamed it on Blanche's daringly low-cut red dress.
Wow.
Since the stranger's eyes lingered on the Southern Belle far longer than on her, everything went perfectly, except a little insecurity when Blanche had to introduce her date to an acquaintance from the museum, and realized...
It's a museum banquet.
Yeah.
Well done. Done.
Does Blanche work at a museum?
She does.
Or what does she do there?
I think she works at like the front desk, because there's an episode where somebody suggests she get a second job. She's like, I'm already killing myself at the museum. Cafeteria to your left, restroom down to the right. It's a wonder I'm not an alcoholic.
That's funny. Yeah. Have you ever worked like reception for stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
What's like the weirdest like receptionist role you've had to do?
That's a really good question. I've had some outliers. I worked in a synagogue.
Okay.
So it was a lot of meeting 13-year-old boys who were coming in for their bar mitzvah training. And they're very difficult to talk to. They have very bad conversationalists. 13-year-old boys to a grown woman.
Where's the Where's the looks at boobs. Where's the bathroom?
I'm like, am I gonna be like your first?
Where's the boob? I mean, bathroom.
Am I your first fantasy? Am I your Kelly Kapowski?
or some people, it's like their sexual awakening if they're like 11 or something.
I would be
boner
so.
comes online. Yeah.
I think this is probably illegal to talk about, but if somebody came to me in the future and was like, "You were the sexual awakening for me, the secretary at my temple," I think I'd be flattered. I think I'd be like, "That's very kind," because everyone always says it's like Topanga from Boy Meets World,
Right.
or Kelly Kapowski, from Saved by the Bell, or Kelly Bundy from Married with Children. Like my generation, it's always those three women. Where they're like, that was my first, like, oh my gosh, crush. And I'm like, could Danielle Soto be thrown in the mix?
Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Hot older Jew broad.
I was a receptionist at a weed dispensary.
Oh, you were? I was almost that. I interviewed for that position.
Wait, at Greenberry?
At Alice's, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. It was always fun where people were like, hey man, I'm here as like a rep from this thing. These are free samples. And I'm like, okay. And then my boss, the person in charge of my paycheck, would go, try one. It's part of your job.
No, I would no.
Yeah, the worst time I ever got high was because of that job where I it was these gummy candies for something called Green Hornet, right? My brain goes, oh, it's candy. I ate the whole thing. Yeah. So an hour later, I'm going to pick up a pen off the floor and just
hit the floor.
Not hit the floor. It just like the high kind of hit me all at once.
Yikes!
So I had a show I had to get to that night. And I had to last 3 more hours, which I did by some miracle. But now I'm like, I guess I shouldn't drive if I'm high. I don't want to call an Uber, though, because then it means I have to talk to people. So I get in my car. I turn on the AC as high as it'll go for clarity or whatever. And then...
Because science.
Sure, yeah. Well, you know the thing where like dunking your face in cold water? I'm like, it's that, but air. It kind of works. And then put on the soundtrack for Avenue Q.
Oh, good choice.
And start scream singing to like stay alert. I'm going down the 405. The internet is for porn.
Yeah.
Like just trying to stay acute.
I wish I could go back to college. Oh, man.
Everyone's
brutal.
a little bit racist.
Love it.
I get there and I go up to Samazaki. Shout out to Samazaki, who doesn't live in LA anymore, who was hosting it. I was like, hey, I'm super baked right now as part of my job. Can you put me near the end so I have time to sober up?
Was she like, what is your job that you have to be super baked?
She rolled her eyes and she did, and I didn't. And when it was my turn to come out, 2 of my friends were in the audience, and they described it as, you look like a traumatized puppy. When I peeked around the edge of the curtain and just kind of like awkwardly walked to the microphone. I'm like, all right, who here got high at work for work and is still currently high? Sorry, camera. And like, apparently the rest of it was all right. I don't remember shit.
Damn.
And that's the worst time I got high.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How did the show go? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
That was it? That was like the moment?
That was all I remember.
When were you finally sober again?
When I woke up the next morning.
Okay, so because I've woken up still inebriated.
Yeah, like I started coming down in the In-N-Out afterwards, so I just like got a burger, ate it, and went home.
Yum.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Were you a receptionist ever, Nick?
I was a hair salon receptionist.
Oh, man.
One time when I was in college. I was bad at it. And I got fired after a month working there because I was so bad at scheduling people for haircuts. Like I had to double check, and ask, hey, okay, you're on this date, and I somehow would get the date wrong, and no, I was just an idiot. I don't really have a good story for this.
I worked in a dermatology clinic in Beverly Hills, and we used to get it. I got the job because I worked in a dermatology clinic in Boston, and it was one of the best jobs I've ever had. I loved it. I loved my coworkers. I'm still very close with most of them today. And so I was like, oh, I've already got experience in this. But dermatology is a wide array. It can be melanoma and skin cancer. It can be zits, and it can be Botox.
Yeah.
And when you're in Beverly Hills,
it's Botox.
It's Botox. And it was a lot of, I saw celebrities there, and they were they'd always tell us, don't offer the clients who are celebrities any harsh treatments, because if we mess up their face, they will shut they
shut
will
the place
ruin
down.
our business,
Yeah.
basically. So I saw some celebrities. Nobody like amazing, but yeah, that was a shitty experience. They declined my vacation request, so I quit.
Nice. I managed to get Festivus and Christmas off this year
Wow.
because I was like, I asked for the time off and they're like, why? I'm like, A, I have the vacation to cover it. B, those are both holidays. And they were like, fine.
Wow,
They didn't bother to Google what Festivus was.
that's fine.
They don't know what Festivus is.
Well, there's no tree. Instead, there's a pole.
It's a pole.
Requires
Yeah.
no decoration.
We keep it underneath the floorboard.
Is your boss like a young millennial who never watched Seinfeld?
No, other way around. My boss is a Ukrainian woman who never watched Seinfeld.
I feel like
No.
everybody watched Seinfeld because I feel like everyone watched The Golden Girls. Like,
She has kids and like they're like, I feel like when she was having kids was when Seinfeld was in its heyday, so it probably just kind of passed her
she
by.
was watching like Blue's Clues or
Yeah.
something.
But
yeah.
I mean, in Ukraine, they're watching Seinfeld.
I mean, she's not like a recent immigrant or anything.
No, I just
she
think it's
yeah.
odd. Like in Ukraine, like they're watching and they go, "That is very relatable."
It's show about nothing.
That Kramer, he make me laugh.
These pretzels are making me
Thirsty. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. Robert, isn't he? That's my phone going off.
Also, if we have time at the end, I want to keep quoting Seinfeld in Ukrainian accent.
He's Robert, isn't he? Oh, I was about to do the Russian accent. Okay. My pleasure, sir, Dorothy said as she shook hands with the man, completely absorbed in her role. He lectures at Miami State, May. We met at the library, you know. Very nice to meet you, Robert. What's your faculty? Arts and humanities, answered Dorothy, as naturally as if she really were a professor and hadn't got stuck substituting at high school. Department of English Literature, to be precise. For a while, the three chatted about arts and books until it was time to sit down and the more formal part of the evening began. They enjoyed the dinner as the charming, if maybe a little superficial conversation with the other people at their table. From time to time, Dorothy glanced at the beauty beside her, who was sensual and elegant, even eating, wishing that this wasn't just a once-in-a-lifetime exception.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy, what?
I see where this is going.
Oh, okay.
A farce with her pretending to be someone she wasn't. Yet the sight of Blanche chatting happily with her colleagues and the casual touch of her hand on hers in a gesture of romantic tenderness and affection made up for it.
I feel like if there was any possibility that Dorothy could have been a lesbian, she would have been a lesbian. Like, her experience with her ex-husband and all the men that she dated, like, she would have been done with men the second she found out she liked women. She has some bad experience with men.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, I don't know. That's
My mom always complained about that growing up. The like, oh God, I wish I could be a lesbian. I'm like, Mom, I'm 12. You're in the middle of divorcing Dad, and I totally get it. But also, I'm 12. So
Yeah.
keep it to yourself.
It's like, I just figured out what I like. Don't confuse me any further.
There's I mean, I think for someone who is a lesbian to hear I wish I was a lesbian from a straight person is like, wow, you're not grasping any of the systematic oppression and all that and like what we go through and what people there's a lot of violence towards LBGT. That being said, you don't have to talk to men.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. And I'm deeply, no offense, deeply jealous because if I liked women, I wouldn't even go to a bank teller that's a man. I would never have to talk to a man ever again, except for my dad and brother.
If I liked women, I wouldn't even be here talking to you, men.
Pretty much, but
I'm sure this is torture for you.
it's okay.
By the time the dessert came, the several glasses of champagne Dorothy had downed since arriving at the banquet began to have an effect on her, and she could easily pretend it was all real.
That's valid.
That is valid. I can see her doing
There's
that.
episodes where Dorothy does mention how champagne has an effect on her.
Mm.
Yeah, there's one where she's on a boat, and then there's one when she's on an airplane.
Especially because, like, you get drunk easier up in the air, I think.
Really?
High elevation.
That's my guess. Or, like, the recycle. I don't know. Just something about air booze hits me differently.
Science
That I don't have a degree for.
Do you have a preferred drink on the plane?
Something with ginger ale.
ale?
Ginger ale, something about being up in the air makes ginger ale like 80 times better than it is on the ground somehow. So booze plus ginger ale, Jameson ginger ale, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you have an air drink of choice?
I can't do booze on an airplane because I have too much anxiety flying, and you would think like it would calm me down, but if I start to feel like out of control, it'll make it worse. Plus, what I do on airplanes is I take a Dramamine that has the drowsy formula for my motion sickness, and then an anti-anxiety of some type. So I pass out. I'm asleep on planes. I don't get the snacks. I don't use the bathroom. I don't get the drinks. Nothing. I sleep. I fall asleep before we take off, and I wake up when we land.
I'm so jealous of you.
Oh, it's like time traveling.
I was about to say, are you one of those people who's like, I'm keeping the plane up with my thoughts and I hate those people. But like, you're not. You just
no. I always get the window seat, and I just tuck away,
Yeah.
and I just tuck, and then I don't bother anybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good plane buddy, unless you want to talk.
I'm a good plane sleeper too. I hate when people talk. I just want to listen to my stupid whatever and sleep. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I in contrast to both of you, I actually love the aisle seat more than the window seat.
Leg room.
And I don't mind if stewardesses' butts hit me in the face every now and then. I don't mind that.
Even if they're crop dusting everybody.
Yes, even if they're crop dusting.
What a mean thing to do on a plane.
I mean, your insides get all like crinkled up because of the pressure.
Science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that from David Sedaris,
Oh.
who is not a science person.
Hey, David Sedaris, can you come on the podcast?
Dude, that'd be amazing.
That would be.
Yeah. Me talk pretty one day fan fiction.
But yeah, drink of choice, I guess a Bloody Mary. I like Bloody
On
Marys.
an airplane?
Yeah. I like tomato juice on an airplane. I don't know why.
Do they give you fresh celery?
No.
No.
It's
What
like,
is it? It's
just-
vodka and tomato juice?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then sometimes a celery stalk in there, yeah.
But did they put hot sauce? Like
I don't think so.
No.
It's just
Tabasco?
it's the V8 with the vodka, and that's it. You're in an airplane. It's not a...
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems like more of a brunch thing, but that's okay.
I don't know. Like
You do you.
I just I don't know. I don't know why like the plane has changed my equation in my head that much. Like, okay, you know what? Bloody Mary. It's not Sunday. Let's just have it.
We can do it. Unless it is Sunday.
Unless it is Sunday, then then the plane's going down.
I crossed the international date line. Time for another Bloody Mary.
Who can afford a weekend flight?
I don't know. By the time desert. Oh no, I already read that. Especially when after dinner and after the last speech by another presumably important fat guy in a suit, the band began to play and everyone seemed to rush onto the dance floor. Blanche got up, and as Dorothy or Robert didn't follow her immediately, she stepped to her side, leaning down to speak to her. "What's the matter? Don't you want to dance?" Dorothy looked up and met with the most tender and beautiful blue eyes that had made her heart beat twice as hard as 10 times as fast. "Are you sure?" "Why, of course, Robert," Blanche said, adding in a whisper, "anything would be highly suspicious." And with an encouraging smile, she pulled Dorothy up from her seat. The usually so timid substitute teacher lost the last of her inhibitions when Blanche took her hand and dragged her along to the already quite crowded dance floor. As if she'd been waiting for this moment all her life, Dorothy laid her arms around her beautiful date and started to lead her to the rhythm. Blanche smiled at her and reduced the distance between them as she was getting more and more comfortable.
Oh my
Now I've had the time of my life.
I do love that movie.
It is a great movie.
So, first of all, Blanche is Southern. So, just a note from Nick.
I'm trying my best.
That's okay.
I think because he's trying to do the actual voice well, and I was just doing an accent.
I think for the purposes of this exercise, just an accent will be fine. And then Dorothy's from New York. She doesn't have a Brooklyn accent, but she's just straight up like, she just has a low
Yeah.
voice.
Well, especially now that
Ma.
she's trying to like be a man, you can just talk in your normal voice.
Okay.
It's
Oh
like-
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So it seems as if Dorothy is having feelings for Blanche in this scenario.
You figured it out.
I think this is lesbian porn in the vessel that is the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Okay. Do you do this to every person who comes on here?
There are different archetypes of fan fiction. There's the everyone starts fucking each other ones.
Oh.
There's the self-insert. There's
Where the person who's writing is now a character?
yeah.
Okay.
And that's where the whole term Mary Sue comes from.
Well, that feels like
Yeah.
there's a Venn diagram of everyone fucks and I'm in this, and then there's the people
There's-
in the middle where
there's
it's like,
more too.
oh,
There's crossovers.
okay.
There's the
Which is Flintstones meets the Jetsons.
exactly, or Super Mario meets Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
There's
Or the Golden Girls meets the L Word.
exactly, exactly. There's the I hate what the writers did with the actual canon, so I'm gonna fix it myself.
Okay.
So you see a lot of that with Game of Thrones.
Ah.
And there's a few more that I'm missing, and there's like sub stuff, but those are the main four, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny.
I can see her faith in humanity just slipping away before my eyes.
Well, maybe even just in faith in us. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Keep
No, it's
going.
not.
Keep going. I'll be okay.
A few songs later, the band started playing the first chords of Unchained Melody. Couples around them either left or got closer together and danced to the romantic song. Dorothy stopped for a second, wishing nothing more than to go, wishing nothing more than to go on, but afraid she'd have to leave it be. But to her surprise, Blanche simply closed the gap between them. Slowly her arms closed around her, and her head came to rest on Dorothy's shoulder. The unbelieving surprise quickly turned into butterflies in Dorothy's stomach. And as she held Blanche tight and they started dancing to the slow music, eyes closed, inhaling the sweet, enchanting perfume of the southern belle, Dorothy wishing the evening could go on forever. She could feel Blanche's petite, warm body pressed against her, feel the weight of her head against her shoulder, the gentle perfume of her arms wrapped around her. Forgotten was the banquet. The charade she was playing. The only truth was right here in her arms.
I do declare.
Very good.
And
very
I
good.
do declare, and it was perfection. She didn't even notice how her hand began to wander up Blanche's back to her neck, caressing the soft skin below the hairline, while the other one remained on her waist, holding her tight. Blanche responded by tightening her embrace, and Dorothy could feel her breath against her neck as the belle let out a small sigh.
I'm getting Deliverance vibes from the accent slowly slipping into the narration.
I like it. I was fearful coming on to this, but I actually am not offended by this. Like,
it.
I'm offended that there's not enough jokes,
Yeah.
but I'm not offended that they're gonna have sex with each other, because if in Moon's vision of the Golden Girls, Blanche and Dorothy always have a sexual tension, which I didn't pick up on. But
Until now.
until now. But they're both good people. They're close friends. It's not inappropriate that two people would find each other, and I kind of think it's very sweet. Two friends realizing they feel more for each other than true friendship, and maybe want to see each other naked. Is not something that I would ever be offended by. So
I mean,
unless they die at the end.
It doesn't have to be offense necessarily. Just be like, God damn it.
Well,
What are you doing? That's like out of character, or just like to.
I guess so. I just want everyone to find love. So
I think Moon here is just, she's living out maybe her fantasies, or his or her. I don't know who Moon is.
I know,
believe
right?
it's a girl, judging by the like icon they had, but it's an anime girl, so that's probably a dude.
You can never be too sure.
Yeah. But what we can say is, I believe in a thing called love. There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't. Do you want me to keep talking the southern accent?
Yeah.
They didn't stop when the song ended. Practically obvious. No, I'm just doing
You
Kevin
do
Spacey.
but you do kind of sound like Big Daddy. That's Blanche's father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. This is now Big Daddy narrating this. They didn't stop when the song ended. practically oblivious to what was happening around them. Dorothy didn't know how much time had passed when she heard how the singer started to sing Only You, accompanied by the exceptionally good band. During the first verse,
Wait a minute. I think that's a reference to a specific episode. Only You?
Yeah.
Roll credits.
I'll keep thinking. Keep going.
During the first verse, she remained still in the embrace, slowly dancing while her heart wanted to explode. Then she couldn't stand it anymore. Gently she withdrew from the closeness just enough to look into those brilliant eyes Blanche curiously directed at her. Dorothy returned the glance, lifting her right hand to cup the smaller woman's cheek. Blanche looked at her quietly, her eyes very open and her lips slightly parted. Dorothy could not bring herself to break the connection, looking as if those clear blue eyes lay the solution to all of her life, while all she was hearing were the sweet words of the singer. How does Only You go?
I don't know.
Only you can make all the change in me. For it's true, you are my destiny. Is everybody uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Mostly just the face I have to see. Like the faces you're making while singing. Really funny.
I don't know how to feel.
She slowly moved her hand behind Blanche's head, and as she started to pull her in, she saw the look in her eyes change. In her glance lay no more doubt. Slowly, she tilted her head, and without hurry, they got closer until finally their lips brushed in a gentle first kiss.
Yeah, I
Immediate jump in.
here's the thing. Okay. Here's why it's not great. They're like sisters. They've talked about how they're sisters. And Sophia, the mother figure in the house, considers Rose and Blanche her daughters emotionally, well, not, biologically. So this is a little gross just because it feels incestual. Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not biologically related, so.
But I thought the theme song says "Thank you for being a friend." That doesn't say sister. No, I'm kidding.
Well, at the very last episode, when Dorothy's leaving, she says, "You're my sisters, all of you. You're angels." And then she leaves. She doesn't say, "I've always wanted to get down with Blanche. Well, bye." And then
that would be really fucking funny, though.
Yeah, that would have been a plot twist. But yeah, it's so I think that's why I'm a little squeamish, is because I'm like, no, these are like sisters. They live in the same house, and they just, I don't know.
Damn, we could have just called this podcast "Cannon to the Wind."
Yeah, we could have.
Throw Cannon to the Wind.
Why not call it Cannon to the Wind?
I mean, because we already have the
like
logo and
kind of too late.
Yeah, we're 8 episodes in by
We
this
got a
point.
theme song.
Wait, why don't we just call it Only You?
Yeah.
No? All right.
Why don't you call it Traumatizing Danielle?
Okay, then. When you hold my hand.
I don't. Do you have to do the song? I don't think you have to. You could probably.
It's in italics. I have to.
Do you have to?
No.
I mean, do what feels right. But
okay.
it doesn't.
Okay. When you hold my hand, I
still doing
understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only you. That's it. Okay. Dorothy was still somehow afraid that Blanche would pull back, maybe slap her, but she didn't. Instead,
what? Slap her.
Slap her.
Okay.
The only Golden Girl that's ever slapped another one is Sophia has slapped Dorothy.
But Sophia, it would make sense for her to do. She's already kind of crotchety. Right?
They hit Rose with a newspaper.
Yeah. I've watched Harry Potter too. You remember the scene where it's like, "Hey, she's only interested in you because you're the chosen one." But I am the chosen one. That's him with the newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Dorothy was still somehow Blanche would pull back, maybe slap her, but she didn't. Instead, the Southern Belle pulled her closely and skillfully appended the kiss. Dorothy responded with all the love she'd held back so long, tenderly caressing the perfect woman in her arms. Forgotten were all the people around then? Oh, and all the world around them. Blanche tasted of wine and chocolate cake, of her incredible self and everything she had ever dreamed of. She was soft and sweet and made her lose what was left of her mind. They didn't even notice when the romantic song ended and a more lively one started. Not until Mel, the guy they had met earlier, bumped his fist against Robert's shoulder.
So they're just doing In the Mood? Fun. So, wait, so they're just making out in the middle of this dance floor?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like it's prom, man.
Sure. Yeah.
I hated prom.
I had to go with somebody from group therapy.
That is the greatest
Thanks,
thing I have
Deanna.
ever heard. I had to go with someone from group therapy.
I mean,
Let's get her on.
I don't think she'd want
It's
to.
the only way Danielle's gonna feel better.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I also, like, last year I got my mom Elton John tickets for her birthday, and then they were for this year, August 2019, and she didn't want to go anymore. So the guy who had to bring his mom to prom because he couldn't, I can't get my mom to go to something with me.
Oh, even something as great as Elton John.
It was his farewell tour. You know what?
She was just like, not for me.
She said he's bloated and doesn't have the same range of motion anymore. What the fuck does that mean?
And then she's like, I wish I was a lesbian.
Something like that.
This is why I want to be a lesbian.
All right,
Maybe she's just jealous of his sexuality.
maybe.
Yeah.
Get a room, you two, will you? Oh, shut up, Mel. You're just. Oh, shut up, Mel. You're just jealous. Blanche exclaimed before taking Dorothy's hand and leading her off the dance floor.
Weird to use the name Mel, because Mel is a very distinct person in Blanche's life. Mel Bushman.
Yeah.
Kind of like her fuck buddy. So weird to use the name Mel. We already have a Mel.
Oh.
There is a Mel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The guy. So they used a different Mel. Interesting. Are you not going to talk to me? Blanche explained before entering their shared home. So they're back at home now.
Oh, okay. Cut two.
Cut two. There's no scene change or anything.
No, of course not.
And
Why
seeing
would there
that
be?
Dorothy was heading for her room. They had spent the car ride in an awkward silence, and she was not ready to leave it at that. Angrily, she stormed into Dorothy's room right after her. What do you think you're doing? Dorothy turned around to her, and all the happiness she had felt at the party seemed to have turned to bitterness. I'm sorry, let's just maybe it wasn't such a good idea. Dorothy, please, talk to me. What happened? Blanche watched as her usually so tall and strong friend sunk down on her bed like a picture of misery. Quickly, she sat down beside her. I thought I could deal with it. I'm sorry I ruined your banquet. What are you talking about, honey? You didn't ruin it. You were the perfect date. Your Robert was all I could have wished for. Blanche, Dorothy sighed heavily before going on. That wasn't Robert who kissed you. That was me.
What?
Damn it, Nolan. Blanche stared at her, puzzled. Don't you see, Blanche? I'm in love with you, Dorothy said, with tears forming in her eyes. Me, plain old Dorothy. She stood up and turned away from Blanche, taking of her jacket and trying not to cry. But if you wanted...
I think that was probably supposed to say taking
I know.
often her jacket.
I know. It's just I try and accentuate the misspellings and stuff.
Taking office her jacket.
like Strong Bad does, where he misspelled it. Pimple-faced Bill from receiving.
Good job.
If you want me to leave, I understand. I can be out by... No, wait. Blanche had come up behind her and gently placed her hand on Dorothy's shoulder. I'm a little confused. I don't know anything about this. Are you like Jean? Dorothy has
Jean the lesbian from the
Yay.
Lebanese episode.
References.
Yeah.
Dorothy hesitated a while before answering, and when she did, she had to sit down again.
Sorry, just for our listeners, if you want to watch the Jean lesbian episode, it's season 2. It's an episode called Isn't It Romantic?
Isn't it ironic with Alanis Morissette?
And if you're watching on the YouTube, you can see I didn't look that up.
Hooray.
It's all up here.
It's all in her head. I don't know. I mean, I didn't exactly marry Stan out of love, but there have been others that men, yes, but not only. There have been women who, throughout my life, but it never seemed to work out in the long term. Maybe bi is the better word. Blanche looked at her silently for a while. Then she said, I've never, felt this kind of stuff. Not for a woman. I mean, it was nice dancing with you. Fun, but when you kissed me, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. It didn't feel any different. I mean, I could have easily been a real Robert. I think, as a matter of fact, I've gotten a little lost in the moment, she added, blushing slightly. You wouldn't have if I hadn't dressed up, though. Probably not, Blanche agreed, lowering her head. It was nice, though, she added, quietly. Dorothy stared at her, perplexed. You were so gentle, so soft. Unfortunately, there is a lot more to this, but
I can see Danielle's fangs just like trying to recede back into her mouth.
I don't want to seem like I'm not supportive of two friends finding love within each other.
mm-hmm.
I just don't. I don't want this. I don't want this. I think it changes the dynamic of the house. I think it's untrue to what a man-eater Blanche is. Like, she is obsessed with men.
Mm.
And
whoa, here she comes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's entertaining.
That's not even the whole story, though.
Oh,
Yes, but unfortunately, we ran out of time, as our producer is telling us to stop.
Is the end of this that they do it?
The end of this is, hang on. I kind of just looked this up at work and I had to skim it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you'll post it and we'll all
Yeah.
read it and find out if they seal the deal.
If you want to read more about this, the link is in the show notes / description if you're watching this on YouTube. I like how I called it bad reading and didn't read the whole story before this.
Well,
Professional.
yeah, that's on brand.
Totally. So I think that about does it for this episode. Danielle, thank you so much for coming on. We're sorry we ruined the Golden Girls for you.
You could never. I had a really fun time. Thank you, Atlas and Nick.
Where can people find you if they want to follow
Absolutely.
you and stuff like that?
On Twitter and Instagram, my handle is Danielle Soto 617. It's the area code in Boston.
Ah.
And if you want to follow my podcast, it's at Golden Girls Doc. DOC, like doctor.
Yeah.
And I'll post about upcoming trivia nights. I host Golden Girls Trivia
At Hamburger Mary's,
Yep,
right?
in West
Los
Hollywood.
Angeles. Woo.
And then also the podcast and some new projects I'm doing. And I always, have stand-up shows once in a while. So come see me do stand-up.
Yeah, it'll all be in the description and stuff, so we'll put that down there for you. Nick.
Thank you.
You can
people find you?
Oh, they can find me under a dumpster. No, they can find me
Under.
They can find me on Millennial Comic on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active.
And then you can find me at Atlas Novak on Twitter or Instagram, or you can follow this podcast on the same platforms at Bad Reading Pod. Just look for the monkey in front of the typewriter. Yeah. So thanks a lot for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.